Thank you for the courage that it took for you to type that out. Okay. I know that wasn't even easy to be able to give a voice to what you're saying of being afraid. Okay. So I want to start off by saying that I absolutely want to give you a hug and to let you know that, girl, God has not forgotten you, not even 1 second. Every challenge that you've ever faced and everything that you've dealt with, and to get you to this point, He has not forgotten you. Everything that you've been through is with a purpose. So trust God, even with being afraid, even being in fear. Trust God. He fully knows our complete makeup, our down sitting, our uprising. He completely knows. So I am proud of you for wanting to go on your wealth journey, even being afraid. Okay. So when it comes to getting started, you can open your account. Once you open it, like I said on the other videos, you can open it with Fidelity, with Vanguard, Charles Schwab, Robinhood. You pick a company that you feel comfortable with. When you go to their website, is it easy for you to navigate? Do you feel like, you know what, this is me? You'll feel it when you get on their website. You'll know whether or not this is good for you. Once you get on there, open up your Roth IRA and then put in your initial deposit of $50. Once you get your initial deposit of $50 in there, you can invest it. Look for index funds. Okay. So you can get on there and you can, or excuse me, you can go on Google, because I don't directly tell people invest in this, and that, because what I may do for me works great, but for you, it may not work out based on your situation. So I don't tell people go invest in this. I teach you how to do your research and how to get the confidence on selecting what works best for you. So go to Google and then type in the best index funds in order for me to invest in a Roth IRA. Once those come up, do your research on all of those funds. You're going to see things come up like VOO if it's with Vanguard. You're going to see things come up about SPY. Just so many different things are going to come up. When I say do your research, find out how the funds have performed over the last year, 3 years, 5 years, and what is their projected forecast for the company. Is it making money? Okay. You also have to be prepared to let your money sit, because you can't just expect to put it in there and then in 5 months you are a blown away millionaire. It doesn't work that way. This is an overtime process. So you have to give your funds a chance to get into the market, take a few little ups and downs, and then it'll steady out and it'll go back up. That's usually how it needs to go. Once you identify what fund is best for you, invest in it and then set it up for automatic reinvestment. So anytime you make a deposit, it goes into the account and then it's automatically in that particular fund, and just let it sit there and grow. And then you're going to feel, again, a sense of accomplishment, because listen, hey, I'm single, it's just me, but look what God has been able to do, and look what I have been able to do in this whole partnership between God and I. So again, be encouraged. You are not forgotten, and I'm proud of you for going on your wealth journey. If you have questions, put them in the comments, okay?
How to retire before you're 65 years old, even if you're getting started at like 35 and you have nothing saved for retirement yet. So a lot of people think that the way that you retire is you just get to a certain age, like 65, and somehow, some way you just retire. But believe it or not, retirement is not about an age, it's about a number. So in order for you to retire where you can just quit your job and sip martinis on the beach, in order to do that, you have to have enough money invested across all your different retirement accounts to be able to safely withdraw 4% for the next 30 plus years. How do we calculate that number? How do we know what that number needs to be? I'm going to show you, baby. So the first number that we need is we need to know how much money do we want to be able to withdraw to live off of in the first year of retirement. A really easy way to guesstimate that is to base it off of, well, what am I living off of in today's dollars, and then adjust it for inflation. Let's say you're 35 years old and you're pretty comfortably living off of about $70,000 a year right now. Trying to retire early in 25 years when you're 60 years old. We have to adjust $70,000 for 25 years in the future using inflation. So you can just look up an inflation calculator and then future value. Those are the search terms I use to get this one. What you do at the top is you put present value. So present value is $70,000 in today's dollars. You have 25 years before you're trying to retire early. And then the inflation rate here, you could put 2% or 3%. I put 2.5%, and then you press calculate. This shows us that in 25 years, in order for you to have the same buying power as $70,000 in today's dollars, you would need to have about $130,000. So to get to your big, how much do I need to have saved in order for me to be able to just quit my job and withdraw 4% of that for the rest of my life? We take that $130,000 and we multiply it by 25. So you would need to have about $3.25 million saved. If you're 35 years old and you want to retire in 25 years with $3.25 million, but you haven't even started investing yet, how much would you need to invest each month in order to reach that goal? You would need to invest about $3,700 a month over the next 25 years. I know that's a lot of money each month, and most of us can't do that. So focus on what you can get started with and keep that in mind as a goal that you're working toward. And keep in mind, that was with us starting at $0 invested at the age of 35. You might already have some money in your 401k, and maybe your employer and you are already contributing a significant amount in your 401k and you just haven't even looked in a while. Okay, I know this stuff can get really overwhelming and confusing, so if you want to come to my free investing class, you can just comment training and we'll give you some extra help there. Okay, good job.
I love getting these comments, especially when it comes to a beginner investor, because it's never too late to start. 37 is just a few years older than me, and you have a lot of time left to take advantage of compounding interest. If I were just starting at around 37 and looking for low risk investments that I would likely hold for the next 20 or so years, I would be looking for more S&P 500 index funds and ETFs. That would allow me to really diversify my portfolio quickly and track the S&P 500, which historically has increased each year and normally yields around 8 to 10% in a good year. If you don't have a lot left at the end of the month to save or invest, start with $25, start with $50, make your way up to $75, $100, even $250 a month. Once you start and once you start to see the potential and the opportunity, it sort of becomes a little bit addictive. You start to shift around what you're spending money on, what your values are, what you prioritize each month. And based on that mind shift, you start to accumulate a little bit more savings each month that you can then put into your investments. So even if you don't have a lot to start, just start. As soon as you start your investing journey, I swear you become more motivated to keep going and to invest even more. Whether it's $25, whether it's $500. I also opt for REITs, which are real estate investment trusts. It allows me to invest in real estate and property without actually buying a home. And I also invest in blue chip stocks like the big banks. So within Canada, we have quite a few: CIBC, Scotiabank, BMO, RBC, TD, and I have invested in a few of those banks as well. It's never too late. I hope you feel inspired from this message, and if you have any questions, drop them below.
My husband and I are very behind on investing, and we're both 34, and I want to talk about it because most of the videos I see online are of people who have a lot of money invested, or they're in their 20s and they're kind of giving advice of what to do when you're getting started. We moved to the US about 2.5 years ago, and our main focus was saving a 1-year emergency fund and paying off our debt. If I had known more about investing before I left the US, I definitely would have invested sooner, but I just didn't care at the time. And even though I worked in corporate, I was a contractor, so I didn't have a 401k. But last year I did have one, so I did invest, and I have about $25,000 into a 401k invested, and that's just into Target Date Fund 2055. And my husband has never had a 401k. We each opened a Roth IRA, and we both have about $18,000 in there. And the Roth IRAs are invested into VOO, which is essentially the S&P 500. We also each opened a brokerage account, and we have invested about $15,000 each. And our brokerage accounts are invested into VTI, which is like the whole stock market. And when I calculate all of our investments, it's about $91,000, which I don't think is a whole lot, especially for our age. But regardless, I'm incredibly proud of us, so I don't care. And now that we've paid off our debt and we have our emergency fund, we're just focusing only on investing. This year we opened a solo 401k because we do have an LLC, so we can each invest about $70,000. We hope we can do that, but at the bare minimum, we each want to do $50,000. And I plan on sharing our investing journey because I know people like to follow that as opposed to just seeing the results, but just know that I am not an investing guru. We're both still learning and we're just trying to keep it safe, but also, trying to prepare for retirement.
I'm going to show you my Roth IRA from ages 30 to 37, and I'm going to be completely honest about why it looks the way it does. In my 20s, absolutely no Roth. It wasn't even a word I thought of. But guess what? Ages 30 to 34, also no Roth. At this point, I did hear about a Roth IRA, but I didn't truly understand it. And around the same time, I was staring down $150,000 of debt, so investing in a Roth just wasn't a priority at the time. But at age 34, I did take the time to start to learn and understand a Roth IRA. And once I understood that retirement account and my debt was really almost gone, that's when it became a non-negotiable. Age 35, $7,000 invested per the contribution limits for that year, $810 gained. Age 36, $7,000 invested based off the contribution limits for that year, $4,062 gained, bringing my total Roth IRA, which I started at age 35, to $18,872. Obviously, what you're seeing here isn't genius investing, it's just clarity. Once I understood what the Roth IRA was and once I had the funds to contribute, I've been maxing it out. So if your Roth is empty or you're a late bloomer at investing like me, then this is what catching up actually looks like. I'm Kamiko, follow for more smart moves with your money.
I started investing late in life. I'm 36 years old and I only have $200 in my Roth IRA, but it's not too late for me and it's definitely not too late for you either. These are the two things that I am focusing on to help me gain wealth later in life. The first thing is an emergency fund, and you're probably thinking, how is an emergency fund going to help you gain wealth? Well, it's not, but if you don't have an emergency fund, and you have an emergency, you have to get that money from somewhere. And that's exactly what happened to me. I had an emergency and I didn't have any money set aside except for what was in my Roth IRA. So I liquidated it. Thousands of dollars gone because I had to pull it out for an emergency. And now I'm back to square one with $200 in my Roth IRA. It's okay. I'll continue to contribute and it will grow and I'll make my money back. The second thing that you should do is max out your Roth IRA contributions early. For 2025, you can still contribute up until April 15th, 2026. And for 2026, you can start contributing as of January 1st, 2026. So if you've already maxed out your 2025 contribution, get a head start on 2026. Get it done early. Let it invest and grow. If you do these two things, I guarantee you, if something comes up, you're covered. And if you start investing early in the year, by the end of the year, you're going to be making lots of gains.
I'm a millionaire now at 50 years old, but I didn't get started investing until I was in my 40s. The main reason I didn't get started was because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what fund to choose in order to start my investing journey. If this is our first time meeting, I'm Deanne. I retired at 48 years old. I recognize that so many people just don't know where to start. They don't know what fund to choose in their 401k or their IRA. If I had just one little bit of advice just to get you started, choose a target date fund in your 401k or your IRA. The target date funds have some letters in it and then a year, like 2040, 2050. That year is your anticipated retirement year, so you're choosing that. A target date fund starts out a little bit more aggressive and it gets a little more conservative as you near that retirement year. Are there ways to grow your money faster? Yes. Choosing an index fund will probably give you better returns. But if you're afraid to do something, a target date fund will get you started. And then if the time comes that you're more interested in learning more about what your investment options are, you can change it to something that's more aggressive that might help your money grow a little faster. I'm talking to you about target date funds because I think that they are a very solid option for somebody who doesn't know a lot about investing, is afraid to start, but wants to get started. Look in your 401k, look in your IRA, see what your target date fund options are, and select one of those to get started. Whenever you learn more, you can change it. You're not committed to it. You can change your investment options at any time inside of your IRA or your 401k. But a target date fund will get you started and get you on the path to your retirement and your financial freedom that I'm sure you desire.
January 3rd, 2025, and my 457 has a balance account of $131,409. Not coming on here to brag, but to tell you that if you also grew up low income, if you feel like you're late to the investing game, or your 2025 resolution is to invest, never too late to begin, and it's never too early to start. Biggest thing, compound interest is your best friend. This account is through my employer, and that money is automatically deducted for my paycheck. For reference, the reason why I have a 457 account, it's because I work in public government. It is the cousin to a 401k or a 403b. Let's talk about how much I contributed over the past 7 years. First contribution was in 2018 when I contributed $300, $7,700, $13,300, $15,122, $18,650, $22,490, $23,000, for a grand total of $100,562. You might be thinking that my account didn't grow as fast as if I had purchased a single stock like Nvidia. You are correct. So you know what? It is also hard to stock pick and time the market. And most of us are normal everyday investors who want to contribute and move on with life.
I invested $45,000 in my taxable brokerage account, and I'm going to show you what buying and holding actually looks like. My investing strategy is extremely simple. I buy index funds, also known as ETFs, that track the entire US stock market, and I hold them for years. That's it. That's my strategy. You can see on this graph that there are times where the market has dropped into the red or has dipped, and that's where people mess up. That's when people will sell their shares and think, I'll buy back in later, or they just never do. But because I know on average the market gives you a 7 to 10% return long term, I do not panic, I do not sell, I just buy and hold and let my wealth build.
I'm 51 years old and I have no retirement saved. I raised my girls by myself. I worked multiple jobs. I did everything right. I paid the bills, I showed up, I kept the lights on, and every time life happened, a car repair, a medical bill, or a kid who needed something, I pulled from wherever I had set a tiny bit aside, because that's what moms do. And then I took a $10,000 pay cut to protect my mental health because I was drowning. And somehow I ended up $10,000 in debt. Tell me how we can work this hard for decades, do everything we were told to do, and still end up near retirement with nothing waiting for us. And for a minute, I was embarrassed. What if people think I failed? What if they think I should have planned better? What if I'm too old to start something new? And then this is what I realized. The system didn't raise my girls. I did. The opinions didn't pay my bills. I did. And nobody's coming to fund my retirement. So if I'm going to build one, it's going to be me. If you're a Gen X mom sitting there thinking that you've worked all these years and feeling like you're very behind, you're not alone and you're not behind. And you're just getting started. We're not too old and we're not washed up. We are not going into retirement broke because we're too scared to try something different. If we could raise humans on survival mode, then we can learn a new skill. And this time, we're building something for us.